Guys, it's me coming on again. I hope you guys are doing well, feeling blessed no matter where you are. My name is Ashley. Hi, if this is your first time joining me today. I'm a higher self channeler. If you do guys need a session with me, please find me at uphighhealing.com. However, this isn't what this channel is about. This channel is more about a lot of different topics, but today, because of how things changed so drastically in the last days, I did feel I needed to come on. So if you have been watching me, you notice that I've been mentioning a lot about anxious feelings, anxiety. Well, let me just say this first and foremost. Speaking only for myself, I think I elevated. I think in the last days, I seriously have now been feeling this light and airy feeling all through my existence ever since the election. It's so crazy how this feels because it's like as if everything leading up to the election was all ramped up and anxious inside of me, not my own feelings, other people's feelings. And now everything is like dust settling, calmness, airiness. So it's really telling of how people say that we aren't all intermixed and we're all not part of the same whole, the same all, the same one, the same source. And I will say to you, as an empath, trust me, that's a bunch of crap, because I have never felt so light during this entire existence on my ascension until I do at this very moment today. And so I'm going to be talking about like the fact that the choice has been made. Okay, the choice is done. What do we do now? You know, what's going to happen now? And I will say this as someone who does prophesize to a degree, who likes to bring forth a message. I did know Trump was going to get in. I said this back in 2022. I felt that the minute he left. Even though he got impeached and all that, I always felt like, nah. I'm like, this guy's got something in him, something different. And I still feel that way till this day. His energy is one that I can't even put my thumb on, and I've mentioned this before. So I put the link down in the description if you want to see if you can believe me. Back in 2022, I was already saying that this guy was going to be president again. And the reason why I said it is because of the same reasoning I'm going to be presenting today. Trump has a way and an energy that this world needs, okay? Some people might be like, oh my God, what is she talking about? And then some people will totally agree with me, but for a different reason. Some people think that he's going to make America great again. Some people think he's going to bring like the 1950s style of living back to America again, which is impossible because of the way our corporate America is structured. You cannot have one man with one income providing and doing everything that needs to get done in this day and age with consumerism the way it is. So that in itself is a falsity, but what Trump will do, some would say, or maybe I would say, he could be seen as somewhat of a bull in a china shop. However, what I will say is that he's a renegade. What I will say is that he's an exposer and an illuminator, and he finds cracks in foundations. And that is ideal, because if it went back to the Democrats, yeah, 4 years, it would be 4 years of the same thing, you know, them pursuing international diplomacy, which means AKA involvement in wars in a very covert hush-hush way, you know, pushing through policies that aren't in the best interest of the people with no one really knowing what's going on because it's not making the mainstream media because they have a cap on that. So having someone like Trump who is so transparent, okay? All these people are like, we're terrified of Trump. He's gonna be a dictator. Well, you wanna know something? At least this dictator will tell you that he's going to become a dictator and what he wants right in your face. And that's what's so beautiful about Trump. He's the type of guy that's like, I'm going to bitch smack you as his hand is already raising. He at least tells you that the smack is on its way. You know what I mean? I can respect a man like that, because even though some of the things he says are so inhumane at times, or so racist, or so inappropriate, he says the things that are on his mind, which makes him like cellophane in some degrees. And if you don't know what cellophane is, it's, you know, the plastic. But the reason why I find that so amazing is because realistically, you want someone who's more transparent. And why I say his energy is insanely amazing is because his energy put in any department, it could be military, it could be immigration, it could be anywhere it tends to land. Homeland Security. It could be cleaning up all of the different lettered agencies. All these different facets that he's going to be touching. He is going to shine light in whatever way he wants to. And the thing is that his power is like a snowball that starts at the top of a hill. And as it continues on, it gets larger and larger and larger till it has its own inertia, until nothing can stop it. So that, in one respect, makes me feel like Trump is a wild card, but he's an amazing card. Because for this ascension purpose, I truly felt like if the Americans went for Kamala, we would be headed back into a lull for the next 4 years, because they wouldn't be working with our ascension journey. It would be more of the same, more of the hiding, more of the non-transparency, more of the covering up and looking pretty in photos and on the news, etc. Yes, she would have been the first woman to ever, govern that nation, and provided be a colored woman to govern that nation. And what kills me is when I see people saying like, oh, why didn't women, vote for Kamala? Why didn't women do it? 52%. We should have made Kamala the president of the United States. Much like Trump, okay, why I think Trump is classic in this role is the same as why Kamala will not be voted in. Because I am a believer that certain intrinsic traits exist in all persons, in all people. And until these traits are looked at kindly or looked at in a way that actually makes sense, it cannot start like, what I'm trying to say is women don't get along with women. We would have to start from the bottom and then work our way up to ever get over that hill. We cannot start at the top of the hill and think it's going to work its way down. That's not how things work. You have to start with the foundation in order to build a great or erect a great building or a great anything. So to say that we're like, oh, let's just make this house of cards with Kamala and hope that women somehow fit themselves as bricks to build up that house of cards, that won't work that way. The reason being, women tend to never support themselves. That is the reason why women are always in the situation they're in. And I'm not trying to shoot all women. Yes, there's a lot of liberalists. Yes, there's a lot of women that say, oh, I'm all about women. But I will say this. As a woman, at least from my eyeballs, as a woman who got beat up profusely by other women for looking a certain direction, as a woman who got cheated on left, right, and center, been through the weed whacker of home wrecking, as a woman who genuinely has seen women step all over other women to get the attention of men, do debasing, exhausting, gross things. And I don't mean just men. I mean, even in the, let's say, the lesbian community, the same type of interaction occurs as well. Let's just say, for example, what I think women suffer from is this rivalry within our own dynamic. It's insane. It's like how men have these very large egos, let's say. The one thing I can say about men that women haven't realized is men support other men. The way they show jealousy is in competition. And similarly, women do this as well. But because of the way we work, it's like the minute that let's say a prized companion, be it a woman or a man, depending on your dynamic, your sexual preferences, it does not matter. Women will go to lengths to cut that other woman down. Women will go to lengths to make sure that they are triumphant, even if that means to break up a family. And I will say this wholeheartedly, men are not about this, but I notice that men don't tend to break up families as willingly. Like, you don't see men getting into relationships knowing there's a husband in the mix and then deciding to, let's say, take selfies of them banging their wife and sending it to that husband. Nay. But you will see women who do debase things such as this to then infuriate the wife of said man, so that that woman will get into conflict with them and they'll have a showdown of the two women that will get the man. There's such a difference in the dynamic, and I know that people think like, oh, we're not that small-minded, and that isn't how you could really see a presidential campaign going so awry when it comes to the woman's vote. They kept saying like, oh, it's because their husbands vote for Trump. No, I think it's simply because what women tend to do is say to themselves things like, oh, why does she get to run the country and I don't get to run the country? I take care of my family and I take care of my home, and I know that I'm smarter than her, and I know that I could run that country better. There's this feeling of rivalry that gets introduced with women, and this is just an example of what I'm trying to say is as to why women don't tend to be the most favored CEOs, or they don't tend to be the highest of high, because if they are, it's because they themselves, in order to get to that place, had to stomp on every single woman to get there. Meaning that they not only stomp on women, but stomp on men too, to get to that place in their position. And so that's why it's so disheartening, because all I ever see is that in the day-to-day. And I cannot say that what I see in the small or the macro doesn't affect the micro, and the micro doesn't affect the macro. That does not exist. I truly feel that if women cannot love each other in all facets of existence, how are we going to ask this larger situation, meaning Kamala running a whole empire, to just start from a point zero? Because that's really what it is. We've never seen it. Not to say that there aren't other countries in let's say India, or let's say even Europe, that has women that have run it. For sure, we have seen this. But I'm saying in the Western world, I would say it's even harder, because it's so hard for women to ever get over that fact of that continuous rivalry. So in some senses, I do feel like until women start to get along in the workplace, until women start to get along in relationships, like you'll notice that there's always going to be one woman that's okay in some type of situation, and then there's always going to be that woman that tries to, screw over the other one. And not to say that men don't do this, but they do it in a competitive way. But I notice that men don't go to the low levels that women do to defile or to shame the situation. I truly feel like that is a more woman. And you know what? I'm going to get a lot of slack from women. And you know why? Because I'm a woman. If I get a bunch of women liberalists and women lovers, I know it's because I'm a woman, because they think that they are not at fault. They genuinely feel like they do not do this within their own kind, and that is the blind, the sliver of wood in their eye to say that women don't do this to women. But forget all that. That's just a side note. What Trump is going to do is he's going to find these cracks in the foundation. He's going to find the civil unrest that exists within the United States and around the world, for that matter, because we just saw recently that he's going to actually shut down what's going on with Iran, and that will take place against Israel. And then there will be some, issues with martial law, etc., for other situations. But what is most important at this time is that in order for ascension to really take off, if we have to interact with this dishevelment, or what is to come, or this like soon to be Bloods versus Crips situation that's going to take place, we have to know that the civil unrest that ensues, or any civil upheaval that comes from this, is designed solely that people make their line in the sand of what they will accept and what they won't accept. I had said this in the last video about action speaking louder than words. His words are going to cause action. His words and what he decides to do is going to cause tons of differential thoughts and different processes. Basically, everyone's going to decide what they can't handle anymore. And that is a great place to be, because really what we've been are these very quiet sheep for a very long time. We don't try to come out of our box. We take our COVID shots and we listen to woke bull crap all the time, telling us that this is how it is to be awake. Well, I'm telling you, as someone who's awake, that is not how you go. And how you awaken is by cracking open things, by shutting them down, by causing some type of tumultuous turmoil, so that people have to decide what they're going to fight for in this life. If they're going to fight for their children, if they're going to fight for the economy, if they're going to fight for the environment, for our human rights to air, water, food, life for free, energy, things of that nature. If he starts doing these formulations of older senses of energy, you better believe there's going to be a lot of environmentalists up in arms. If he starts going after women's rights, there's going to be a lot of women and men up in arms. If he starts going after the military, there's going to be a lot of people up in arms. It's just going to cause people to define for themselves once and for all what they're really about and what it means to be a true American or a patriot in their own country, because they're finally going to fight for what they believe America means to them as the individual. So I cannot say that Trump being in power is necessarily a good or a bad thing, but what it will be is something that we need as a people, as a populace. And I have to believe that God put this character in our lives globally for this purpose, because I've never seen anything more amazing than this guy. And I'm not even saying this to big him up. What I'm saying is that the guy is still standing. The guy has done so many horrible things and great things all at the same time. But I mean, that's never been seen. It's never been done. And I truly feel like that's why so many people voted for him. Because subconsciously, we all want to change. We're so sick and tired of the same rigmarole that's been going on for like a century now. Well, this isn't getting us anywhere. We're not finding our happiness. We're not getting where we need to be as a civilization. Why are we still living in these archaic ways? He's going to shed light on all of this. And that's what makes him so great. Because he is great, not in the sense of who he is as a human being, because I mean, he does falter, I'll tell you that much. But God believes in him as a character to cause the change that needs to occur, to make our souls fight for what we deserve, our rights, our sovereignty, as a whole, as a world. Because to think that this man isn't going to ricochet to the rest of the world, that's a big joke. Because he is. He's already been there one day, and he's already going after other nations in Trump style. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong. I'm never going to deteriorate from, you know, who and what he is, because I truly don't know who and what he is yet. And I am saying that whatever does come of play in these next years, it will be to the upliftment of us as a global society, to determine if this whole rhetoric and this whole system that was created, aka democracy, bullcrap, this is not a democracy. I truly feel like we're at a place where anybody could take strides and steps to be the president, or anyone could take strides and steps to be the prime minister at this point. This guy has broken down so many walls and barriers for the rest of us. We can now believe that anything is possible because of him, because we surely didn't believe he could do any of it. And the fact that he's done all of it proves to us as individuals that we can do it too. Because of him, any of you can be the president. You know, for all of you out there that didn't think you had the education, the schooling, the political know-how, you've now realized that with enough gumption and with enough determination, you can do it too. And that's so strong of a message, okay? Because people don't realize how much he touches the hearts of the average individual and empowers the average individual. Because what he's saying to them is, if I can do it, you can do it. And that in its sense, he's like a weird, the diabolical superhero that way, because he's gotten away from all the law. He's gotten away from all these naysayers, all these, you know, other party Democrats that are trying to take him down. The guy's been shot and he hasn't even been a president yet, and he just got into the term now. And I'm saying it's like, this guy has already had so much on him that the fact that he's still standing unscathed means that he is shrouded and covered in some type of protection that we cannot see. And I'm honestly saying that he is here because he's supposed to be. Now, why he is shrouded as God's messenger in this time, I do not know. I do not understand it. I don't try to ever, question, the source, the Father, the All, the Mother. I don't question that type of logistics. What I do know is that I can sort of see why using an agent such as him would be great as a catalyzer to our ascended journey. So with that said, please don't hate the messenger, especially all the feminists out there. I hope if you see this, I don't mean this as a bad thing. I love women, but I'm saying unfortunately our kind don't like each other. So please don't rip my head off, because then you'll be part of the problem and not the solution. Have a great day, guys. Love you lots. Bye for now.